So welcome back to Speak with Shyla. Today we have another great conversation video, but this one is extra special because we have a British native speaker as our guest today, which makes this episode particularly valuable for all you language learners out there. She has a YouTube channel as well, which is focused on English and also teaches one-on-one lessons. She'll be sharing some insightful tips and thoughts with us today. So without further ado, let's welcome Sarah. Hello, Sarah. Thank you for accepting this invite and giving this opportunity to us to have this wonderful conversation. Over to you for a lovely introduction in your own words.
Hi, Shyla, and hi to all of Shyla's YouTube channel subscribers. Thank you very much for inviting me onto the recording today, the channel today, Shyla. That's right. So I'm a British native English speaker, can't speak now, speaker. I'm actually from the Midlands of the UK, but I moved to London and I was in London for 15 years, and I did kind of change my pronunciation a little bit. So I've got more of a cross between a Midlands and a London accent now. So yes, I'm an English teacher. I'm also a pronunciation coach and a content creator. I've got my own YouTube channel, TikTok and Instagram channel as well. So that's me. So yes, what else can I tell you?
Okay, that's a brilliant introduction. Thank you for that. But for that, actually, I have to apologize. I called you Sarah. So it is Sarah or Sarah because
Sarah.
Sarah. So yeah, S-A-R-A is Sarah, isn't it?
That's right. So Sarah is often used in kind of European countries, and it kind of makes sense because it's the way that it's phonetically said, isn't it? S-A-R-A-H. But yeah, in English we say Sarah. Sarah, yeah.
Yeah, pronunciation is important. We'll come to that in a bit.
Yes, no problem.
Right. Okay, so I will quickly introduce myself as well because you're going to upload this video on your channel as well, and your subscribers might be wondering who I am. So yes. I run this channel called Speak with Shyla. I live in England. I've been living here for over 13 years now. I am originally from India, from southern state of India called Kerala. I don't know if you have heard of that place, but yeah. So I live here with my family. I work in IT for a living. I do a 9-to-5 job, and yeah, that's pretty much about me. I don't want to drag it too long because yeah, we have a few questions to ask. So.
Oh, no, that's perfect. Thank you. Thank you. And thank you for coming to my channel as well. Thank you.
Of course. So since we have only limited time with you, I would love to make the most of it by getting your insights on some common questions that non-native speakers often have about learning English. So these are the questions that, because I'm also a non-native speaker, so these are all applicable to me as well. So my first question is, that's a very common one, about grammar. So how important is grammar when speaking English? Because it's a spoken language, and when we learn a new language, we learn it from our parents or from our family. You're not really learning from a book, right? So. But when it comes to non-native speakers speaking this language, obviously they have to go by the books, so that's when this question comes. Yeah. So I want to know from you, how important is that?
Sure. I mean, obviously, like, you have to have some grammar to get started. You're going to have some grammar and vocabulary. I think vocabulary is kind of underrated a little bit. Like, people are like very focused on grammar, but it is kind of like the easy way out, really, isn't it? It's like you just buy a book, study the book. Oh yes, I'm learning English. Yeah, you're learning grammar. So I think, you know, I come across like two types of people that have got a lot of fluency, but not much accuracy. And then people that have got accuracy and not much fluency. So your aim is, you're always going to be catching up with one thing. Your speaking is probably always going to be behind your grammar. So I would say speaking is more important than grammar, because people tend to focus on grammar, and you know, it's kind of, oh, I feel good now, I've done some English. Well, actually, no, not unless you're actually going out and speaking it. That's using English. So definitely speaking is more important, but, you know, don't be perfectionist about it. If you make mistakes, obviously, then it's good that you've practiced. So that's what I would say.
Yeah, and so because if they make mistakes, when your grammar is not perfect, if I ask that, should learners be discouraged? You'll say that, yeah, shouldn't be, but can it affect their confidence, or maybe people might be, getting discouraged, like, oh, I'm making mistakes, and what? So from a native speaker's perspective, if you hear somebody making mistakes, how do you feel?
I mean, obviously, it's nicer to speak to people that don't make mistakes, but I don't think mistakes are as serious as people think they are, especially in English, because we don't have to conjugate our tenses. So it's much more easier than, like, say, for like a Romance language, where you have to conjugate every ending, and if you don't, you're in the wrong tense. Usually a native speaker will be able to figure it out. Things like articles getting dropped, prepositions like missing, usually, like, the native English speakers can join in the dots. So I think just try to remember that when you're speaking, the number one aim is to communicate with that person. Communicate. Babies can't speak very well, but they still manage to communicate with their parents. And they don't think about whether I'm perfect. They think, no, I want this toy, or I want drink, or I want this. They are just literally communicating. So think about what your life was like when you didn't know how to speak your native language. It's just a matter of communication, letting the other people know what you want and receiving that from them, or telling them about something and getting them to understand. So yes, making mistakes is difficult, it's painful, because as adults we are all in, like, this perfectionist mode, where we have to do everything well because we're adults. You do have to kind of remember that when you were a baby, you couldn't speak very well, but you learned every day, and now you can speak almost perfectly. So yeah, you're going to have to go through the same process, I'm afraid.
Yeah, I agree with that. So what do you think is the minimum level of grammar knowledge one should acquire when learning English?
Very good question. I'm going to tell you a couple of things. I personally don't think that anybody, so the Raymond Murphy books, right? So we're talking about the Cambridge Raymond Murphy intermediate. There's a basic, there's an intermediate, and an elementary. I personally don't think anybody needs to go above the intermediate book, because when I get onto the intermediate book, there's some things I struggle with. I'm like, what the hell? Difficult. This is difficult. So you can sort of think as the end of the intermediate book as a benchmark as where to go. But personally, I don't. But that's very much for, like, professionals who need English in a professional career. But I think to do Raymond Murphy elementary book, and to do it properly, and to do it really, really well, and to practice, that's probably most of the things you need. Because I don't know about you, Shyla, but most students come to me because they haven't done elementary level properly. They haven't done elementary level properly, and they haven't practiced properly. They've kind of rushed through elementary to get onto intermediate level because it kind of feels like, oh yeah, I'm making progress in English. So if you're going to do something, do it well. Do elementary, make sure it's done, make sure you know how to do it. And that's going to be a pretty good base for everything else.
That's actually news to me because honestly, I haven't seen the book myself. So I'm pretty sure that most of my subscribers would be like, yeah, they'll be hearing this for the first time as well. So it is really a good start to do the elementary book. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
That's really interesting. Thank you, Sarah, for that. And so if someone goes blank during a conversation, how can they get back on track or build their train of thoughts more smoothly? That is something that I actually do as well. It's not that I go blank. I actually start somewhere and then I go somewhere. I have no idea. I just can get carried away. So that is a problem that I face, as well.
Yeah. I think if you go blank or you just, I mean, first of all, just remember British people are very polite. So just say something like, just excuse me a moment, or say something like, just a minute, please, because they don't like basically you need them to wait, right, while you while you get your thoughts all together, right? But if you just say, yeah, give me a moment, please, or just a second, or just say, I'm learning English, or you could say something like, thanks for your patience, thanks for your understanding, and then basically just try and say, usually it's because you can't remember the vocab. You want the word and you can't remember the vocab for it, and you're just like, I know this word, but I just can't remember it now. So usually it's a vocab. So try to give the person like a different meaning, like gosh, I can't think of any example right now, but so all right, if you're trying to say I'm flying on Tuesday, right? You still want to say I'm flying on Tuesday, and you can't remember, oh, what's the word for flying? Choose a different verb. So just say I'm going on a plane. Like people so just change your, I know it's not ideal and you want to use the correct word, but it's all about just communicate, get the message across. Like the person will know what you mean. And then probably they will help you. Oh, you mean flying? Are you flying? I'm flying to Tenerife on Tuesday. I'm going on a plane to Tenerife on Tuesday. It means exactly the same thing. So try and just pull out some different words to help your listener understand you. They won't care if it's the wrong word. So that's my advice.
I agree. As you just touched upon that example, that's a really good one, because flying, you said that I'm flying on Thursday. That is not something that non-native speakers use at all. They would, to begin with, they would say that I'm going on a plane. That's what we tend to use. Flying is, that's a difference actually. So we tend to say, oh, I'm going on a plane. Yeah, that's what we normally say.
Exactly. You can, but that's the thing, isn't it? You might want to say I'm flying on the plane, but I'm going on a plane. I'm going on the plane is fine anyway. So this is it. It's kind of in your own head, isn't it?
It is, yeah, definitely. And what is it's all about spoken English. So what is the best way to improve spoken English? So, for example, because a lot of non-native speakers, they don't have this opportunity to speak to even within the family, or even at work, we tend to use our mother native language. So that's a constraint. So in that scenario, how can somebody improve their skills?
It's very difficult. I'm not sure about India, but I met a guy in Morocco. He was working as an Airbnb tour guide, and he told me that he'd learned his English from YouTube. And I was just like, so you learn how to speak on YouTube? And he was like, yeah. And I thought, that's absolutely amazing, absolutely amazing. He was very young and very bright and very entrepreneurial. And also he was interacting with tourists every day, you know, so he got to practice.
Yeah.
It's difficult, but you really have to try and think really, really hard about how you can find somebody that's going to speak English with you. So say, for example, you're in a big city like Delhi or Mumbai, you're going to be in a much better position because there's going to be an expat community there. And they are going to want to practice speaking, I guess, Hindi or any other kind of languages spoken. They might want to exchange with you. They might want to learn some basic Hindi, or like they might just enjoy socializing with Indian people to try to understand the culture. And they might be very happy to speak to you in English. So you really have to get to think outside the box, and also not let your self-doubt take over again. You know, oh, I don't have this, I don't have that. Okay, we get it. You don't have this. You don't have colleagues at work. You don't speak to English at your family. But who could you speak to? You know, who could you speak to? There's also some language exchanges arranged in big cities. I'm sure there's one in the big cities in India. There definitely is in London, in Spain, in Barcelona. There's always, wherever you go, in a big city, there's always a language exchange. It's more difficult for people in the country, obviously. Yeah, and that's basically my tip. Just think outside. Don't think what you can't do. Think about what you can do and try to have a positive attitude about it. You can also get language exchange online. There's language exchange applications which you can also use. So that's what I think.
Yeah, that's really helpful. And how important is pronunciation when communicating in English?
I'm so glad you asked me this question. I'm so glad. Right. It's really, to me, it's really important. It's really, really important. If you can know English, you can be able to speak it quite well. You can know the grammar, you can know the vocabulary. If you're not pronouncing your words properly, like correct, and using the correct vowel sounds, if you're not using long vowels, some people don't use long vowels at all. If you're not doing syllable stress, intonation, connected speech, the more of these things that you don't do, it's going to make it very difficult for the listener to understand you. Yeah. I know this, because when people speak to me, I mean, me and you as English teachers, we've got a higher level of understanding. But if somebody's got a bad accent, or they've got a too strong accent, or they're not even trying to sound English, this is what I say to my students. I say, look, when you speak English, try to sound English. Like, I'm not being like racist or anything, but like, you have to try to sound less like your original language. So less Spanish, less German, less French, less Indian. You have to sound less like that and more English. And people are afraid and they feel pretentious and uncomfortable. And I'm like, no, get over it. Get over that. I don't like my accent when I speak Spanish. I learn Spanish. I'm learning Spanish, right? I don't like my accent. I don't like it. But if I speak English if I speak Spanish with an English accent, they won't understand me.
Yeah, that's the problem, is with understanding. Yeah,
exactly. So it all goes back to communication. What do you want to do? Do you want to, oh yes, I'm good at English, blah, blah, blah. Or do you want to actually communicate with this person? Ask yourself the question. Do some work on your pronunciation, especially if you've got a very strong accent. Go and have 5 classes and get your pronunciation sorted out.
Yeah. So yeah, I agree, because it's all about communication. The other person has to understand, even if you know, if you can convey, but if the other person is not able to understand what you're saying, then there's a problem. That's when and where the pronunciation really matters. And it's not about maybe the accent itself, but the pronunciation. For example, I can give you a very good example, which I always struggle with still. Two words, alternative and conservative. In India, we tend to say conservative. So that's
Yes.
a totally different pronunciation, isn't it?
Yeah. But the thing is with Indian, British Indian, Shyla, I always feel a bit awkward correcting Indian people because it's almost like Indian is a second language in
Hindi. I mean, Hindi is the main language.
sorry, in India, it's almost like a second language.
Yes.
So I do think it's just American English. They change syllable stress as well. So I don't think it's a matter of being right or wrong, because I think Indian people have their own English.
Yes.
It's a bit of a grey area. I used to teach some Indian students IELTS, and I was correcting them, and I was like, should I really be doing this? Because they're not actually doing anything wrong. So yeah.
Yeah, I
But
get you.
if you're not being understood where you need to be understood, then yes, definitely 100%. Sort your pronunciation out 100%.
Yeah, that makes sense. And do you have any favorite books, movies, or TV shows that can help learn English, especially beginners? You know, they won't be able to consume anything like very advanced, but to begin with, do you have anything
Yeah, some
which you
recommendations.
recommend to your learners?
Yeah, definitely. So I haven't watched much of it myself, but my students are always recommending The Crown on Netflix.
Okay.
There's also Peaky Blinders.
Okay.
That's very popular, Peaky Blinders. And so you're going to get some different accents as well. So with the Peaky Blinders, it's more like the Birmingham accent.
Oh.
Downton Abbey is great. That's kind of like that upper class English accent.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Then you've also got things like The Office, The Great British Bake Off is quite a good one. Yeah, as well, because they have people from all, different countries. Also, Gavin and Stacey. So that's actually set in Wales. But there's lots of different accents there. So it's really important to get exposure to English, even if you are just listening to it in the background, not really focused on it. It's really like English is like in the ear and the mouth, the ears and the mouth. So you need to give the mouth some exercise and the ears some exercise as well. So books, I don't really have any recommendations, I'm afraid. No.
Yeah, I think it's more, that's fine.
Anything really. Maybe something like Harry Potter, because you've got like I don't know, how many books have you got? Like 6, and they're really, really long. So if you get into Harry Potter and get to the end of it, like get to the end of the 6th book or whatever it is, well, first of all, well done. And second, it's going to give you a lot of like reading. Probably take you 2 years to do it. So yeah.
Yeah, that's a really good suggestion. That I think a lot of people actually, regardless of what age group they are in.
Anything that's got like a sequel, so you get into something and then you've got another book to go into. So I think that one would be a good idea. Yeah.
Yeah, that would be interesting to read as well, like a sequel. Yeah, that's
exactly. Yeah.
And with that, we have nearly come to the end of my questions. And Shyla, thank you so much for your time today. I greatly appreciate it. I'm glad that I came across your content and you're giving one-on-one lessons. So I'm really hoping that you get, and you have a YouTube channel as well, so you'll get some traction through my channel. And before we go, I want you to give one last and final message to my subscribers. You have
a final message. Don't give up with your English. Keep going with it. Remember, it's the global world now. It's the global economy, not like dinosaurs like me that only learned one language at school. English is, everybody's going to speak English soon. It's going to get a lot easier. So don't give up with your English. Keep going because it's going to really help you in your life. So do not give up. That's my message.
Lovely. Thank you so much, Sarah. I appreciate your time, and we'll meet again another time.
I hope so. It was my pleasure, Shyla. Best of luck with your job and your students and your channel. And yeah.
Thank you, Sarah. Appreciate it. See you later. Bye. Take care.
Take care. Bye. Bye. Bye.